I'm going into HighGrain Brewing today, talking to Lee Moeller, the chef there. Maybe talk some beer too. Let's check it out. What's up, burger boys and gals? I am here at HighGrain Brewing Company talking with Chef Lee Moeller. And if you notice, on our table, he gave me a little sampler of some of their biscuits. And I'll tell you what, if you're a biscuit fan, bomb-ass biscuits, I'll tell you what. And he was just telling us a little bit about, the process and some of the biscuits that he makes. But getting down to the nitty-gritty of it, Lee, can you tell us a little bit, just about HighGrain Brewing and kind of your story here?
HighGrain, we are based more on sustainability, sustainable culture, sustainable practices, using as much local as possible, minimizing our carbon footprint, minimizing the amount of waste we have. We're all about that. And also being part of a community, which is Silverton here. And, they've really embraced us. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I love it. I mean, this is my first time being here, and I really see the brightness of the brewery kind of coincides with the sustainability. I mean, is there sustainability in like your electricity?
All of our electricity comes from a wind farm. Our water is geothermal. And geothermal means, it sinks deep enough into the ground to where the ground's at constant temperature, so it takes less heat to raise the temp and less energy to lower the temperature to heat and cool. So we use that for brewing, for cooling our coolers, and for our HVAC.
Love
system.
it.
So.
Well, I noticed, you guys are called HighGrain Brewing Company. A lot of breweries start just breweries that might introduce some food later on. Was that always part of the concept of HighGrain to, have it a brewery/restaurant?
It has been. Matt Utter's our brewer, and I used to do beer dinners at another restaurant in town, and we wanted to make beer and food synonymous. A lot of places they have beer and food's an afterthought, or they have food and they just bring in beer from wherever. Mm-hmm. And that's great, but they're both two different ends of the same stick. And HighGrain, obviously grain is the largest ingredient aside from water in beer. Mm-hmm. And so we really wanted to focus on tying food with beer. So I use as much product that is beer related in my food as well. Like I use hot pellets in a compound butter. I use the spent grain in a biscuit, and several other areas. But yeah, we have always tied food with beer. Equally.
I mean, it goes hand in hand. Most places. Every time I'm at a different brewery and they don't have food, I'm just thinking of like the local places around, especially when it's later in the night and you're like, oh, what's some of that greasy food I can get in my belly? So I feel you. So it's perfect. Now let's get down to the meat of it. Talking about, your burgers here. What burgers do you have on the menu here? And then we can get more into, the actual throwdown this Sunday.
So started with one burger on the menu, and I have 3 on a lunch menu, and now I have 2 on our regular all-day menu. And my ground beef comes from a farm called Longdale Farms. They're up in Charleston, Ohio. Mm-hmm. Sustainable practice, just phenomenal beef. I think it's about a 70-30% grind, mm-hmm. but the way it cooks up is just so phenomenal. You can really tell a difference. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. You're good. I mean, everyone keeps mentioning sustainability and sourcing from local farmers the past few days, so it really has me excited about Sunday, because that seems to be the trend amongst a lot of the chefs I've been speaking with.
That's great.
So it's kind of a level playing field out there. Like, what do you think? Why do you think you have what it takes to be that best, win the crown, win the trophy of first annual champion of the Fretboard Burger Throwdown?
Well, I've worked in burgers a lot, but really, it just comes down to performing the basics perfectly. And if you can do that well, then the product you have at the end of the day is going to speak for itself. So if you have solid ingredients, solid bread, bread's the first bite and the first taste you get in a burger. So, that's important. Beef is the meat of the issue.
100%.
But then it's all about getting that umami flavor to carry through, but also to utilize the accompanying toppings to highlight and bring out the positive aspects of what you have, your bread, your meat, your cheese.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there with like getting down to the basics, because I don't know how many times I've been to places, and for me the basics are it's the patty, it's the taking care of that, making sure it's cooked right and packed properly, because if you can have the coolest toppings in the world on a burger, but if the patty is overcooked or just not a good blend, then it just ruins it. Not seasoned, even as basic as salt and pepper, right? That's how I do it at home on my electric grill. A little amateur chef me, but just salt, pepper, olive oil, and that's really it. Yeah, I mean, if you don't get the basics down, like it just makes it a crap burger.
It really does, and some people try to hide behind the toppings that they put on it, like, oh, we've got this cheese and and this, we made this our own mustard here, and this ketchup and hot peppers, and that's awesome. But if the engine doesn't work, then it doesn't matter how nice the car looks, man.
Yeah, no, I feel you. So you talked about your burgers here, you talked about HighGrain and all, but what about the burger you're going to be throwing down this Sunday at the Throwdown?
So it's going to be a chili cheeseburger.
Oh.
But it's not that basic. For about the past 3 months, I've been working on a chili recipe because we just collaborated with the Silverton Deer Park Fire Department and put a beer on for them. So last weekend we had that, and you think fire department, firehouse, chili. So, and to have them come around, I had to put up something that was, better than average.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be interesting to see how it works out.
When you say chili cheese, I mean, I'm from Cincinnati, right? So does that mean like Cincy style chili, or does it mean like chili?
So it's kind of an amalgamation of all the kinds of chili.
Oh my gosh.
So
isn't that what chili is essentially? Like just crap put together. Like
so like you get your Texas style where they say there's no beans, but beans add a certain mouthfeel and creaminess and texture. And if you cook your beans in the chili as opposed to adding cooked beans into it, those starches that release they meld the flavors together.
Yeah.
And so then you've got chilies that are tomatoey, and chilies that are super spicy, and chilies like Cincy style that has just a completely different spice palette going on in it. But each one of those has a positive aspect that if you put it together, they complement each other so well. So
yeah, well, that's exciting to hear. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to know two things from you. One, I always like asking, kind of almost like poking the bear a little bit. We're at a brewery right now, so it's gonna ask two different questions. What is one local brewery around here that you really enjoy, actually, on the side, whether you drink, hey, I drink some of their beers at home or whatever it is, and what's one of your favorite burgers, in the city outside of your own?
For beers, Listerman, they put out some really tasty New England IPAs.
Yep. I'm loosely related to Listermans, actually. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Funny stuff. I just saw my mom's cousin, who's a Listerman, just like a week ago. So, lovely stuff.
And I really like Brink. They're just over there quietly doing their thing. They do it extremely well, and I really like their products. Burger, I live in Norwood, so it's Quatman and Gordo's and Mound Cafe. Those are the three I go to all the time.
All good ones for sure. I have, some of those I got to go back to. I haven't been to Gordo's in a bit, so I'm itching to
used to
have
work
them
there.
soon. So love it.
Back in the day.
So it's a little biased. It's
Back
a
when
little
I first
biased.
opened.
He worked there, so take his opinion with a grain of salt. But all right. So tell the people where they can find you guys, HighGrain Brewing, whether it's the brick and mortar place or online.
All right, so we're at the corner of Plainfield and Montgomery Road, next to the CVS in what used to be the Silverton Municipal Building.
Love it, love it. And you guys have Facebook, Instagram, I'm assuming, all that stuff.
Yeah, we have all that.
Check them out on Facebook, Instagram. You got Google, guys. Just type in HighGrain. It's pretty simple. But other than that, Lee, I appreciate the time you had today. And we'll see you guys try his burger out this Sunday at Fretboard Brewing Company for the Fretboard Burger Throwdown. See ya.